Okay. Hi. This is my media narrative project as it currently stands. Mostly complete, but not quite 100% done yet. Over the course of this semester, I have been focusing on the concept of moving living comic, which includes audio, music, sound effects, and voice acting. The main concept behind this project was to create a series of mini narratives, short clips surrounding a large narrative that is the whole graphic novel Acts 1-9. That when put together you can start to see or maybe understand what the larger narrative will be or may be. The scenes I chose were ones that include world building, important narrative segments for the comic, what will come in the future of the comic that is not yet seen, and most importantly, the characterization of Ryson, the protagonist. Let's start by just briefly going over Ryson as a character. While the intention behind these mini-narratives is to go into it blind, for the sake of this presentation I will go over some details about the characters that show up. Ryson is a serial killer. He's also a cannibal, clinically insane, delusional, has a terrible god complex, and a complete heroin junkie. He also so happens to be transgender, but important to note that's not the reason why he kills. What I wanted to show for some of these narrative pieces is different aspects of Ryson's character, as well as his relation to the larger plot, shown in different narrative tones per video. Some videos are more serious in tone, others take a more light-hearted approach. This is because Ryson is an unreliable narrator. The comic doesn't necessarily follow Ryson all the time, but most of the plot is from his deluded perspective. The way he sees himself, he is just a missionary of God, doing his duty to kill and consume livestock, which is the rest of the human race. As I said before, while I am giving context for this presentation, the idea behind these videos is that they are to be seen blindly on the internet. The purpose is to create intrigue for the larger narrative. I'd like to think that YouTube and other social media platforms I posted these videos on act like an exhibition space, just a digital one. The following videos are in no particular order. Their titles are what I titled them on YouTube. After each one, I will give some context behind the scene. Enjoy.
What kind of inhuman foes? I know you said like angels, but what else is there? Are there monsters? Giant boss battle type creatures? Things to actually fight? Sounds like. It sounds kind of like an anime! Have you ever watched anime? Or read any manga? Is this my protagonist's backstory? You'd think it would be the whole killing my parents and running away thing, but I guess it took some time. I'm like Sailor Moon!
This scene takes place in Chapter 6, The Hunt. Ryson has just discovered that the pistol he uses is actually a holy weapon infused with the blood of angels. He finds this gun after killing what he presumes to be an FBI agent. What follows is Del, a demon, explaining that his gun is important or special, unwittingly feeding into his ideas of grandeur and godliness. Interestingly, instead of comparing himself as a god, he compares himself to an anime character. A big narrative trope for anime, specifically magical schoolgirl anime and like Sailor Moon, is that characters often have convoluted and tragic backstories. Later, they find themselves with a magical companion who gifts them with the power to fight evil, or a presumed evil. It takes a lot of notes from classic narrative roles and tropes like you see in folk stories and fairy tales. The tone I used was light-hearted, and the sound effects I use are also what you hear a lot in anime. This is to further enter Ryson's mind and his perception of the world.
Welcome to Hell. My name is Force-Zero. It is a pleasure to meet you. Why don't you stay a while, Ryson? You like it down here, don't you? You can be your full potential without having to hide. You can kill, eat, live exactly how a godly figure such as you should. All you have to do is join me.
The first shorter clip was mostly a tester, while I was trying out a new video editing program. The second was my first attempt at a motion comic. This is the first one I did in full colour, which was mostly to complement the first video featuring Forced. The reason why I did it in full colour is that I would see myself as somebody perusing the internet, and I had somehow come across the first video of Forced, the short one. And then I went to go check on my channel. If I saw the same character in the same style in the next video, I'd probably click it. Anyways, these videos feature Forced, the Archdemon of Greed, and his relationship with Ryson. If you're observant, you'll notice that Ryson has horns now. This is very important for the upcoming volume. Forced, being a manifestation of greed, is possessive and manipulative when it comes to Ryson. He wants him. This particular moment has not yet appeared in the available comic, however, it is particularly important for future chapters, as I mentioned. This is kind of just me teasing the next volume of the comic. Beelzebub's Court, Pandemonium. Ryson has been serving under Beelzebub as her personal chef for a week. The work is non-stop due to her insatiable need for constant consumption. When Beelzebub's gluttony is satiated, Ryson considers it the end of his day. He will retire to the guest room and promptly sleep. However, today, it seemed that Ryson had not done enough to satisfy the lady of the house.
What happened to your breast meat, Ryson?
Oh, I got it surgically removed when I was a human because I'm
Did
transgenic.
you eat it?
What? No.
Oh, then can I have it?
Similarly to the second video, this one teases the appearance of another archdemon, Beelzebub. Beelzebub is a representation of gluttony. Her design is one of my favourites to draw. She's based around Georgian and the Regency period, which I personally associate with indulgence and the concept of a higher society, which is an important factor for hell. Obviously, Beelzebub doesn't have the mannerisms. In fact, she's kind of crude. More than anything, this video is me experimenting with world building and scene setting. While the other videos take place in the middle of a scene, this one I can see it as a beginning of a scene. Like Forced, Beelzebub has not shown up in chapters available so far, and thus I am teasing her appearance. Again, you can probably see that Ryson has horns, and it is confirmed that he is in hell.
And that makes 2017.
This video also comes from 6, The Hunt. I must like this chapter. I think the most important takeaway from this one is that Ryson has killed over 2,000 people by this point, which kind of seems unrealistic. It becomes more clear later how he's gotten away with so much. For now, it remains a mystery. The focus of this is mostly on Dell and her brutal way of killing a person and later consuming their soul. The reason behind doing this scene was mostly for the sake of intrigue and to push the themes of horror.
So what is this? Apartment? Or do you own the whole building? How many torture rooms you got? Got display rooms? Chem labs? Morgue, maybe? I could do with a morgue. It's an easy way to store bodies without worrying too much about them. You do have to move them fast, though, because if they're there too long, they start to notice that one's actually starting to rot. If you plan to make a meal out of it, you have to butcher it fast. Can't be letting all the blood and organs simmer with each other inside. Humans have such thick skin, too, but not you, I don't think. You look almost perfect. A little bit of meat in the right places, still slender enough that gutting you wouldn't be too difficult, and you're kind of small, so there'd be less left over that I have to hide.
This scene comes from the first chapter, In the Beginning. It takes place in an elevator, which you could probably tell from the sounds I used. The other characters we see is Rudy, who is a very important character in the first volume for reasons. What's important is what Ryson considers a normal conversation is very disturbing to other people, showing his clear separation from society as a whole. What he considers a casual observation about Rudy takes it with disgust and horror. So this is where I've currently gotten up to for this project. However, there is one more that I'd really like to produce. It's a scene that takes place in the past, before the events of the first chapter of the comic. It takes place in an underpass on a busy road. The conversation is between Ryson and his twin sister Rebecca, who were separated at birth. The thing about this piece of narrative is that it's 5 minutes long. Whether I will be able to complete it or not, I'm not sure. What I really like about this scene is that it's between two siblings, and the ones who voiced it are also siblings. Here though, take a quick preview.
So, I guess I should start off and say I'm sorry.
Apology not accepted.
Yeah, I figured as much. But I still wanted to say it. I know I fucked up. It was a chain reaction. I had to get rid of them, and my options after that were either die, let myself get caught, or keep going for as long as I could. And I enjoy this life. It's like a calling. I feel like my grandparents' old gods from that altar they kept in the basement have spoken to me, or something like that. Anyway, I miss you. You're the single most important person in my life, and it's probably gonna freak you out to hear that I've kind of been stalking you just a little, like making sure we're only cities apart as often as I can. I swear I'm just trying to protect you.
You've taken everything from me.
What?
You took everything from me. For what? This? For some fame? So I can never visit you in school and form an actual relationship with you and know what it feels like to have a brother? I had so many things planned, Riley.
Before we go on to any questions, I would like to say a big thank you to Ori, who did the voice work for Ryson, as well as Liv, my co-writer, for assisting me with the audio mixing and production of some of these works. She also voiced Rebecca in that scene I just showed. I just wanted to say thank you for listening. And if there's any questions, we will turn to me in the present time. Aha.